Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to take a look at Control Blood. This is my variant of Control Blood. There are a few floating around, one mainly being done by Aya Senpai, which is Shadow Nexus Head. And I've based that deck purely on his deck. So for the most part it's very similar, except I'm running double Queen Vampire over Abyss, mainly because I found that Vampire for me personally works out a little more than Abyss does, especially when it does have that turn 2 play. I'm also only running 2 Diabonds because I'm not a big fan of those, and having 2s just seems to be enough for me. But everything else is pretty stock standard and you don't really need anything. So we'll get right into some games. The first matchup is against Blood. These games are a little long, of course they are a control deck, meaning that control goes on for a while, but hopefully you guys enjoy that. So we start with the early game, I guess, the Vampiric Kisses and the Unicorn. Not really much need for anything else, they're pretty fine. You could do with something a little better, or breaking up your range a bit more, but these do the job. Diabond on turn 3, always a good play, especially when you can pull it off against most other decks. So you've got plenty of healing in this deck, you've got a good control level of game, when you're obviously being a control deck. There's not much that your opponent can really contest you with in a lot of cases, usually you deal with them pretty easy. Obviously Dragon and stuff can be a little trickier. Aegis will obviously decimate you because you are playing control deck, unless you do win the early game, which is possible. I haven't played an infinite amount of this deck, but I will leave the article to Aya Senpai's deck, and a deck list of his deck as well. So you guys can check that out if you want to. So this guy has multiple Urias, Blood, mostly likely playing aggro Blood, so that's pretty expected. We have plenty of things to deal with it though. We've got double Vampiric Kiss, now we've got the Big Knuckle, which is an even better way to do it. Getting rid of the Urias pretty easily while taking out the Wolf. Wardrobe Raider is a card that I'm not 100% on personally. I do enjoy that card, it does its job when it's meant to, although Scarlet can be better, but it is a cost higher, which in a lot of decks can break your tempo if you don't have a decent turn 4 play. So Wardrobe is just filling in that gap of control while also doing enough damage, at least in my opinion. But getting into Vengeance is never too bad, because you do have things like Revelations, which are really quite effective. And like I said, plenty of removal, so you're not really wasting much. Most things will play out, clear, hit face, that sort of thing. Good amount of healing is always good in the deck. And Blood surprisingly has more healing than I gave him credit for. Which isn't surprising considering their whole plot is, hey, let's deal damage to myself. They really should have some half decent healing to go along with that. So Phantom Cap, even though you're not running infinite amount of neutral followers, you run enough that you can warrant it, and you can also have the chance of just drawing, which works out too. Trading into this Carabosse is okay, not really the best way to do it, but better than probably wasting something else. Although, plenty of options, I mean, that's the one good thing about this deck, you're never really out of options, you're not really top decking like other Blood decks can. Usually you're winning. Nothing stopping you from also running Kairos, but you don't really want to be limiting your points when you've got 9 mana Tempests and 8 mana Revs. If you played Carry, you'd want to play it at 10. Unless you already won the early game, in which case you're probably going to win anyway. Big Knuckle is definitely a good MVP card. It does go really nicely with Wardrobe, so you have a great amount of turn 4 plays and late game plays that still get some value. And Scarlet, just so good, no evolve, just play it outright, good in the late game, good in the mid game, and really good anytime. Opponent's definitely playing aggro. At this point they really need to have decent draws to win this. And we're really just going to heal. That's all we need to do. If we can just keep healing and healing and healing, there's nothing that they can really do about it. Luckily we have plenty of options in that regard. So we go for the Vampiric Kisses, healing up enough so we can drop Big Knuckle without any issue. Now they've got to come up with something, and another Kara, so that's great for me, eh? They've just played, I think, is that the second Kara, I believe. They've locked at 6. Fortunately, Kara decks don't tend to have much more than that in most cases. And they're going to be dealing a heap of damage, but also burning a lot of cards. Temptress, great little bit of heal. I do have to sacrifice this to do that, instead of just using the Rev, which may have been better, but I decided to go for that mainly for the heal and the body. Plus we have got another Temptress in the next turn. So why not? They should burn some more cards, I believe. Unless, maybe not. No, maybe one. Okay, burning one card. But they will quite quickly outdeck themselves if they aren't careful. And we're just going to keep getting that chip damage, get those heals in, limit what their Karabos can actually do to me. So without something big, they really are going to lose this. And because they can't play anything big due to their point cap, they probably don't have much chance once you go into the late game. Usually you're pretty well off at that point. So they got a few turns left before they do deck themselves out. All we have to do is survive. Bahamut doing a good job of that. And Queen Vampire blocking the board. This is why I like Queen Vampire. You play at the late game, you play at the mid game. Does the same job. Good against aggro, good against control, because those double wards work out really nicely. Although against Haven you are at a huge disadvantage pretty much either way. Obviously you can win, but it's a tighter matchup. So they got 3 health left, we have a Revelations, and they've got 4 cards in their deck. But we have a pretty easy game from here. We literally just have to trade and attack face, and we win. So, didn't leave ourselves in a predicament at all. Alright, so our next match is Dragon. This will probably be the last one because I don't want this video to go super long, and that blood match was quite drawn out. So we're only going to have 2 games for this video, but that's pretty normal for a control video. If you do want to see more of this deck, just give me a heads up when it's released, and I may cover more of it, maybe in a montage format where I can have a bunch of games played. I want to do some more of that just with like repeat decks where I can play some more montages, so if you do want to see that, please give me that heads up. It's really great to get some ideas from you guys and see what you want to see. And if there's anything you want improved that I am able to improve on, definitely leave that there. As long as it's constructive, I don't mind. Blazing, pretty much perfect to deal with this. Like I said, your early game you really want to have something on 2. Maybe even on 3 like I did with the Scrimnir. Then once you go past that, you can pretty easily control from there. I mean, your 4, 5, and 6 drop ranges are pretty good with this deck. There's no real issue with it. Alright, so we get to play a couple cards. Good against Dragon. You don't want to have too little on board. Fortunately, we will be going to turn 4. So the Dragon does go for the trade, which makes sense. You do want to be trading here. You want to be getting rid of that so that we don't heal up and we can't trade into you in a profitable way. Fortunately, Wardrobe, like I said, coming in handy sometimes. I could have quite easily used the Scarlet, but I thought there's no need. Dragon's going to have bigger threats that Scarlet will probably have to deal with using Bane. So why not just use the Wardrobe Raider? Not the most optimal play, but definitely one that works out quite nicely. Plus they kind of have to be forced into a trade here, which is alright. So, Phantom Cat, pretty good. Does get 0. Nice draws though, I can use those to my advantage. They're healing, a little bit of a pain. They are going to turn 10, which means we do have to worry about that. Although we have plenty of ways to deal with bigger threats like Bahamut, so I'm not too worried about that, and we can do a good amount of damage here. Getting him at a 10 is a really nice life total to have Dragon at. Especially when they've pretty much forced that Bahamut out. The only way to deal with that board in any kind of decent way. Luckily we're going to both our demonic officers. What a great thing to have against Dragon. Fortunately Zeus, all cards had to be a problem here. Blocking me out, meaning I'll probably have to play the other demonic officer just to remove this in any kind of practical sense. Which is quite unfortunate. Sybil, of course. Dragon Summoner. Straight into Dragonite. Fortunately only on 10 health. Right in range of our Temptress Vampire, but that heal making things a little more difficult. Turn 10 though, Grimnir, full board clear. Don't mind Grimnir in control decks. Haven doesn't really need it, but other control decks really do. Diabond, why not? We're coming into the late game anyway. May as well use that. Plus the Scarlet Saber, 2 damage, 2 heal. Why not? Takes up some of the damage we took from the Diabond there. Now we just need to deal with that and hit face. And pretty safe. Fortunately, Vampiric Kiss, great for that. Removing the Dragoon, healing. Get rid of the Grim, heal as well. Play another Diabond. I mean, we're not really in a dangerous spot. They don't have Evolve, so Yerd and Dragoon aren't going to threaten lethal. And they'd need maybe Dread Sea, but that would probably kill me anyway, regardless of my total. So taking the risk was pretty fine. Especially since it did open up lethal with Vampire anyway, so we're really pushing for that in that turn. Making life pretty quick and easy. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. The deck list for this deck will be in the description, along with the article that ISMpo wrote, which is based on most of this deck with his modifications and whatnot to it as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.